So today I'm going to review the Fender 325CE. This is a all laminate guitar from Fender. And for the skeptics who immediately want to not consider a guitar of all laminate construction, I have to say that it is actually not as bad as that all laminate tag sometimes sounds. So I'm going to be going through this guitar in this video. Hopefully you'll get some idea about the pros and cons of this guitar, and while obviously you won't get as resonant a sound and as clear and as precise a sound as maybe a solid top or a all solid wood guitar, you will be surprised at how resonant this all laminate guitar can sound. And I hope the microphone that I have without any effects added gives you some idea of what this guitar sounds like. So let's begin by trying to classify the sound. This is definitely a bright guitar, made even brighter by the 80-20 bronze strings I usually put on these. These are 11s Martins 80-20 bronze. If you put phosphor bronze, you might lose a little bit of this shrill brightness, but the most apt word I would use for the sound of this guitar is crunchy. There is a kind of a crunchiness about this sound, and it just could be that sometimes you hit the string too hard and it kind of twangs. Some people like that, but there's a certain amount of crunchiness, and I like that. And this guitar is actually my favorite in many ways. First of all, because it's laminate, it survives the weather changes and the humidity changes a lot better. You don't have to pay much attention to it. Maybe once in 2 years go and check the neck angle or something like that, but it won't really give you much of trouble as far as the action is concerned. And speaking about the action, this has an absolutely fantastic action. I don't know if you can actually see the action from the video, but this has got to be one of the lowest I have ever played, and without buzz, without any buzz whatsoever. Really low action, maybe around 2 mm at the low E or the high E, sorry, and about 2.5 mm at the low E. Extremely low action. Along with the fretboard radius, which is flatter than most other brands, it gives you that unbelievably low action, which you can exploit by almost playing it like an electric guitar. It's actually that easy to play, especially if you string it up with light strings. I use 11s, but some people use 10s on these. But the reason I use 11s, and in fact sometimes even 12s on this guitar, is because the sound is not very loud and the bass sometimes is really lacking. You do get that laminate drawback, but because the action is so beautiful, and because I have fitted this with a tone wood amp extension inside, this is one guitar that I'm never ever going to stop playing and never even think of getting rid of. I have the Rode NT USB mic placed about 1.5 feet from this guitar for somebody who really wants to split hairs and try to understand what this might sound like in front of you as opposed to a mic. And while it's true that you can never actually get an idea by listening to a guitar on a mic, you certainly can compare it to other guitars that you have heard on the mic and get some idea about the relative sound of this guitar. So, some bass loss, maybe, but overall good clarity. This is obviously not much overtones. You won't really get that rosewood kind of sound or feel. More like mahogany in the sense that you will get the fundamental, and it is fairly dry. Not as dry as a Martin D18 or something like that, but it is dry. It's not really it's not a mixture of overtones you get when you strum a chord. The top is actually laminate maple, and that's very interesting because I've had spruce tops most of the time, and even though it's a laminate, maple does there is some maple in there. I mean, even if it's a laminate. So I think the neck is mahogany, maple, and mahogany back and sides probably laminated. But obviously you don't buy this guitar for its sound. The sound is nothing special. The bass is sometimes, like I said, lacking. You buy this guitar for the electronics, decent electronics. Look them up online. I'm not going to go through all the electronics on this one, but it has a tuner and bass and treble and volume and a decent pickup. It sounds pretty decent when you plug it in. But the most beautiful thing about it, like I said, is it can get extremely comfortable to play because you can get the action ridiculously low. It has something to do with the fretboard radius. Actually, you cannot ever get such a low action on a Taylor or a Martin as you can on a Fender. They have much flatter fretboards. The fretboard is not as curved as some of the other brands. Enough said. So let's see how this sounds with maybe a light pick and a light thumb pick, and I think that should be a decent enough review for some of you who want to buy this guitar but are not sure. Let's see how a thumb pick sounds on this Fender 325CE. This is a medium gauge Dunlop. So that was damped, and if I don't damp, and just some thumb strumming. So you might see that this is a pretty good guitar for strumming and singing along that kind of sound. But if you ask me, this guitar also gives you a lot to work with if you're a fingerstylist, because of that extremely low action which fingerstylists value more than people who are strumming hard with picks. Otherwise, nothing really much to boast about. Plastic. Obviously not a bolt-on neck, so neck resets are complicated. I think the bridge is some kind of wood. You should look that up. Again, might be a laminate. But I hope you've got some idea of the crunchiness. When I talk about some crunchy sound like this, there is an amount of crunch in it, which it does seem to make this a nice sound. It's not a bad thing, that crunch. You see? I hope you got some idea about how this guitar sounds and why it might actually make a good buy, even though it's an all laminate with not very premium materials. Still, this retails for around 35,000 in India, and that's not cheap actually for a guitar. You might realize that even though it's an all laminate guitar, there is some kind of premium label associated with this, and I probably think this is the last of the laminates before Fender will start its solid wood guitars. So if you are looking for a laminate, then this is probably a very nice example of a laminate guitar that can sound almost as sweet, almost as resonant, almost as nice as something that has solid wood in it. Survive the weather changes better than the solids can, and also offer you unparalleled action due to that, like I said, that fretboard radius that Fender keeps so flat. So that was my review about the 325CE figured maple top, if I didn't mention that before, and mahogany probably back and sides. I'm not really sure. I could look that up and put that in the specs. And this is called the FA series, so it's FA-325CE dreadnought shape with a cut, decent. I'm not sure. It might be Fishman. Decent electronics inside, and overall, I'm very happy. I bought this from Sound Monk in Mumbai, and also had a servicing done by Enoch Guitars in Pune, and Enoch's put in a new saddle and a new bridge, and basically given it a proper servicing, and it's as good as new. This one is retailing, like I said, for about 35,000 in India. It's probably cheaper if you buy it abroad. And yeah, there's not much more. Let me know what you thought of the review, and whether you own this guitar, and if you like it, if you had similar experiences as I did. I would be very happy to hear what you think about it.